And I would tell any entrepreneur out there, if you are taking social media by storm and you have not asked your clients, are they looking at your social media? You're missing the point. And
Yeah.
so the first thing that my gentleman did was he sent out a survey to all of my clients, not only asking them about my business, things that they wanted to see in my business, but also asking them where are they taking in
Mhm.
their content for photographers
Right.
specifically, not where are you going out and looking at family pictures, not where are you looking for your photographers. Not one of them said that they were searching for their photographers on social media. Not one, because I'm a B2B business.
Yeah. Welcome everyone to another episode of Your Lab Central. Today I'm joined with Leslie Lane. So Leslie, would you like to tell our audience why they should be excited about this conversation?
Well, because I'm just going to give them a really messy, ugly story about how I got started and all the transitions that have happened in commercial photography since I was a young woman. I
Mhm.
have three generations of entrepreneurs behind me, and I think my journey has been the most authentically messy of any of them. So it's a great story.
So yeah, I love messy stories because uh, this perspective that it gives people, right? And especially yours because you've got three generations of entrepreneurs behind you and you've got that experience to add up, and then still you're going through a messy situation, and then people have got a lot to learn from you, and we've got a lot to discuss today. So yeah, so where should we start? Photography you mentioned. So
Yes.
where did it take birth?
So, as I mentioned, my family have all been photographers. My stepfather, it's his business that I took over. He
Mhm.
became unable to work when I was about 23 years old. And so, even though I wasn't trained to be a photographer yet, I was working in the business and I had to just take it over at a very young age. And who would have known 30 years later all the disruptions that would have come to the photography industry? So, my grandfather actually saw the disruption from black and white film to color film, if you'll imagine that.
Yeah.
And then during my young years, we went from film to digital.
Okay.
And then, of course, where we are now, where what does AI play in the role
Mhm.
of photography? And so, and then, most people, they go into business and they think, oh, I'm going to do that, whatever it is, photography or whatever it is. And they expect that things are going to change from a technological standpoint. I certainly did. I was not surprised at all when digital took over. And quite
Yeah.
honestly, I'm not terribly surprised at the way AI is taking a role in it. But what entrepreneurs don't think about is they don't think about 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
They don't think about the Great Recession of 9
Mhm.
and 10. They
Mhm.
don't think about COVID. I
Yeah.
mean, who has that on their entrepreneurial bingo card? Because I don't.
Yeah.
And so you just take everything that's happened in this industry that I've been through in my career, and I'm not that old. And then you put the economic disruptions on top of it as well.
Mhm.
And sitting here today, still doing business, actually being more successful than I ever have in the past, it's a real triumph when you get to the
Yeah.
other side. You're like, wow, not only am I resilient, but I'm super grateful to be here.
Yeah, that's right. Having gone through two very significant events, right? 9/11, COVID, right? I don't know, probably Y2K as well, if you want to count that.
Yep.
Probably you would have moved a lot of things, right? But then, so which one should we talk about first?
Well, probably the one that made the most positive impact on my business was actually COVID. And it was
Right.
because of the things that had happened in the past
Mm-hmm.
that caused me to change my business so that by the time COVID hit, I had resources around me to help. So
Mm-hmm.
I think they call a business like mine kind of a micro business. It started almost as a solopreneurship, even though I'm not like that anymore. But the mistakes I made as a younger person was not growing my network. And I feel like people that are really young, like in their 20s, late 20s, that they're so used to being behind a computer that they don't build a community.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was too busy having babies and running a business that I did not have a community. So by the time COVID hit, my kids were much older. I had gone out into the world, met people, built a society of people that I could count on so that when COVID hit, I went and I asked the people I knew in human resources, what are you seeing? Are people getting fired? Are they getting laid off? Are they keeping their people? I had two or three bankers that were very good friends that immediately got in touch with me and said, here's where you go to get funding. Here's where you go to get loans. Here's what you do. And so it actually put me in a better financial state than I was prior to COVID. I could lay off my employee. They were getting paid more than they would have from me.
Mhm.
And then I was able to consolidate some of my debt and then get PPP funding on top of it. So that's probably the one that really helped traject me where I am now because I had resources around me.
But talking about the business itself, right? How did the business change shape? Because as far as I understand, photography would be a very person-to-person contact kind of business, right? Where you had to go out, meet people, do a few shoots, or probably cover a few events. But then during COVID, how did you manage to stay afloat?
Yeah, so it was actually very interesting. My business only went down about 10% that year, the first year that we were shut down. It did not go down very much at all. And part of that was because many of the people that I worked with were in essential businesses. And
Okay,
so hospitals.
right.
So we were actually going into hospitals during COVID and showing how they were transforming their hospitals
All
into
right.
safe COVID wings.
Mm-hmm.
They were taking spaces that were meant for one thing, turning them into another thing. And so it really, I was very, very fortunate that I did have these businesses,
Mm-hmm.
construction companies, architectural fields, things
Yeah.
like that, that they still had needs and were actually working to show people we're still here. And, they needed to advertise. So
Yeah.
the fact that I wasn't in the portrait wedding industry, I don't do any of that work. I'm
Okay.
only in the commercial space. I think that that really saved my business.
Yeah, that's a great perspective, right? Being into a I mean, I don't know if you should call this non-conventional, but this is obviously not something that a lot of people associate when it comes to photography, right? When people think of photography, it's more about taking portraits, going to an event or something of that sort. But you're giving a different picture here, right? Where there are a lot of services that actually need photography, but they're not out in the space like everybody else. Now, what are some lessons that you took out from this about creating the network or creating an alternate revenue source? Uh, Something that you'd like to share?
Sure. Back before COVID, it was just myself and my editor. Just two of
Right.
us worked in the business.
Mm-hmm.
And I lost her unexpectedly. And so we had been together since the beginning. So she'd been with me for 30 years. And my daughter came into the business and she said, I'm going to give you 2 years of your life, 2 years of her life, to figure out how to diversify this business. And so I had been in the industry long enough that I had work that would come in that I couldn't shoot because I was already booked. And so I started bringing in freelance photographers and I
Right.
started training them so that they could shoot the projects that I couldn't shoot. We
Mm-hmm.
started offering a more diverse, now do cover corporate events where I didn't do that before because it's not something I like to do.
Yeah.
I don't do video, so now I have a videographer and a drone operator.
Right.
And then other things that entrepreneurs really don't think about is that if you're so busy doing the day to day,
Mm.
doing the social media posts, doing the blogging, doing the quoting, doing the accounting, you're
Yeah.
not really strategizing about your business. And so
Right.
my daughter helped me get an administrator. I have a social media person, I have a blogger, and we just continue to add freelance people as a 1099 employee so that not only are we diversifying what we offer, but it gives me more time to strategize and think about the future. And I think that that's really been a game changer for me.
Yeah, that makes sense. Now, since we're talking about social media, just curious and how my conversations are. So, how's social media coming along for your business? I mean, surely you've got a
You
lot
know,
of
it's
great
Yeah,
stuff.
it's interesting. So last year we did a brand new website, and the person that I use for my websites is phenomenal. And he starts with research first. And I would tell any entrepreneur out there, if you are taking social media by storm and you have not asked your clients, are they looking at your social media? You're missing the point. And
Yeah.
so the first thing that my gentleman did was he sent out a survey to all of my clients, not only asking them about my business, things that they wanted to see in my business, but also asking them where are they taking in their
Mm.
content for photographers
Right.
specifically, not where are you going out and looking at family pictures, not where are you looking for your photographers. Not one of them said that they were searching for their photographers on social media. Not one, because I'm a B2B business.
Yeah.
Now, if you were to ask a portrait wedding photographer, they would say they're going to TikTok, they're going to Instagram, they're going to these places where consumers find what they need. But when
True.
it's
True.
B2B, it's a little bit different. And
Mm.
so that gave us the strategy. We need to be on social media, but we need just a consistent presence that
Mm.
shows people we're here. We
Yeah.
are focused on LinkedIn because a lot of our referrals come from LinkedIn. A
Mm.
lot of people get to our website from LinkedIn.
Mm.
We're on Instagram and we're on Facebook, but those are just really, here we are.
Yeah.
We will post a reel here and there behind the scenes. We do a lot of educational blogging where we bring in guest bloggers. And so what it does is when I see somebody in person, they know what we're doing and they'll bring it up in conversation. You sure do look busy. Boy, your team is getting big, but
Yeah.
they're not going to hire me from that. They're just keeping in touch with me. So my social media presence is like that. And so far it has worked exceptionally well for us.
I love that because you focused on the fact that your customers are actually not on social media and you're just keeping it there so people know you're there. And because it's important to let people know that you exist, but your main customers come from certain sources and you're capitalizing on getting repeat customers from that source itself. So, since you mentioned LinkedIn is a big, huge source, since you're a B2B service provider. Um, is it just, references via people, or is it that you're posting content on LinkedIn which is relevant to your customers as well?
I think it's a little bit of both. So I certainly we are a referral based business.
Yeah,
Not that we don't cold call, not that I don't go out there and look for new business.
yeah.
We certainly do. But
Mhm.
the easiest thing we get is a referral. And so we are constantly asking our customers to write reviews for us, not
Yeah,
on Google, on LinkedIn.
yes,
Tell people how we did. And so we do that every quarter where we follow up with all the new clients we've gotten, or there's been a special project. We have both a business LinkedIn page and my personal page. So we make sure that we share those both ways because people are more likely to engage with me as a person than
yeah,
they are with my business. But I will say, doing the podcasts, which I have thoroughly enjoyed, we are getting more and more followers to our business now
right.
on LinkedIn than we have in the past. So I think it's a little bit of both. I
Yeah,
think it's the referral process. I think it's showing people we're legitimate. I mean,
yeah,
photographers, I'm not talking bad about my kind, but there's a lot of people that do it as a side gig
right.
rather than run a business. And
Hmm.
so all those things that we do on LinkedIn legitimize us as a business, that we are full-time, full service, customer based business.
Now, how would you say has personal branding affected your whole business or your, I don't know, outreach, right? Because you say that you're sharing it both ways, one from your business page as well as yours. So, and you specifically mentioned that people more relate to content when you put it out personally because uh, is it that people associate you with the business and are not able to understand that yeah there is a business that is actually providing the service. Obviously you are one of the main people there, but then still there is another business that is trying to be separate from the person itself.
Yes, and that's extremely difficult. And I think anybody like a web developer or a graphic designer, anybody that's in this space would say the same thing. And especially because I just started branching my business out 3 years ago.
Okay.
So Leslie Lane was the business for many, many years. I was the sole
Right.
producer.
Mm-hmm.
And so I also think that because I've spent 30 years out in the community,
Mm-hmm.
people people know me.
Mm-hmm.
And so getting that so that it moves a little bit away from that is taking time, a little bit more time than I actually anticipated.
Yeah.
But I did bring on another salesperson, so somebody else that's out in the community, and she just started in January. And just this week, we got an email from a client that I've had for years. They sent it to my salesperson, not me. And I'm like,
Right.
yay, that's great. That's great news. So it's just going to take time,
Yeah.
but I think that in all industries where there's a central person, you spend your time getting people to know, like, and trust you. That's how you get them to do business with you.
Yes.
So then you have to trust, they have to trust you to hand them off to somebody else. And that's the part where we're at right now. And it is happening where I'm busy and
Mm-hmm.
somebody else on my team needs to handle it. And my clients trust me to handle that. So, so far it's working, but it is taking a little bit more time than I thought it would.
Yeah, of course. Uh, Just want to ask, okay, since we talked about it, your daughter coming into the business,
Mhm.
uh, how are you looking at succession? Because you took it from your stepfather, and now, I mean, you had to come and step into the business due to whatever reason. I don't want to get into it, but then now your daughter is getting into the business, and how are you looking at succession as one something that you will have to look at in the near
Yeah.
future?
Unfortunately, my daughter's done. So she gave me 2 years of her life and she left. So there is no one in my family to take this business over. And
Hmm.
so I've had to face that reality very clearly
Hmm.
that my succession plan is going to have to be to cultivate my successor, to
Okay.
find my successor.
Right.
And so that's part of what I'm doing podcasting for, is to
Okay.
get a wider reach for anybody that would like to think about joining a commercial photography business and
Right.
not starting from the bottom. I
Mm.
mean, think about that. I didn't have enough information to take over my family's business at that time. I was too
Yeah.
young. I was uneducated. I had no experience in the field whatsoever. And so it was a rough, rocky start. My parents did not really have a succession plan because my stepfather loved what he did, and
Right.
he really didn't have any intention of quitting.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't think a girl could do it. That was the other thing. And so I have to be very strategic about that. And so I am. And so one of the things my daughter did before she quit is we now have processes in place for
Yeah.
every single role. We now have manuals of here's how you shoot these jobs, here's the lenses and the f-stops and the lighting, so that whoever comes in to purchase my business doesn't have to start from rock bottom. And I'm not handing over a client list. I'm handing over a business. We have a board
Yeah.
of directors, we have minutes, we have all the things. And
Mm.
so I think that that's really important for somebody who is looking not to stay in their business till they die, and also not to just close the doors. You know,
Right.
that's the sad part about businesses like mine.
Mm-hmm.
I reached out to a fellow photographer who retired a few years ago,
Mm.
begging them to sell me their client list, and they just wouldn't. They're like, "Nope, we're retired." And I'm like, "I'm going to give you money to hand me that client list."
Yeah.
And so I'm working for something a little bit different, something a little bit bigger.
Yeah. And that makes sense, right? That's how a business should be looked at, rather than just a gig that you did during your lifetime and then just shut shop suddenly. And it's not how business works, right? So, love that rigor about it. Now, next, I don't know, and some other tumultuous journey that we went through, right? You mentioned 9/11 and the whole recession. So when it came to the recession, right, B2B businesses were hard struck, right? And as I'm guessing even your clients were going through tough times and probably had to cut budgets for everything that's related to photography, be it brochures, marketing budgets, campaigns, and stuff like that. How did you reinvent the wheel at that time?
Well, you know, the mother of what is it? Necessity is the mother of invention, or something like
Right.
that. So that recession could not have come at a worse time for me. Not that it's ever a good time, but the
Yeah.
9/11 recession was a deep V recession. We bounced back super quick, and there was really not much different
Hmm.
about my business and my clients' businesses, where you're exactly right. Everybody was affected by the global recession. And at the same time, digital cameras went from being humongous investments to handhelds.
Yes.
So we had industry disruptor at the same time as an economic disaster.
Right.
And let's throw on top of it for fun, I got divorced at the same time.
Okay.
So I lost everything, literally lost everything. I went bankrupt. My mother, God love her soul, she bought my equipment out of auction for me. I was going to quit, quite just very honestly, I was going to quit. I was going to get a job, and
Hmm.
my mother wouldn't let me. She said, "You're the best photographer the family's ever had. I'm not going to let you quit."
Hmm.
And we took the business and just started shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. And then eventually, as things started to come up again, I moved the business into my home. And that,
Okay.
because we had a studio, we were renting a studio. I mean, we had a large footprint. We had clients that were paying top dollar. And then, because of what you were talking about, businesses could get their own digital camera
Right.
and shoot, have their marketing person shoot. And
Yeah.
so moving it into my home stabilized the business. Um, I was able to upgrade some of my equipment to become more versatile, quicker
Yeah.
at the turnarounds. And then just kind of honestly starting all over again. I had a new business name, a new business model, and you know, unfortunately, not all roads, anybody that says they've ran a business and it's been all uphill the whole way, they've been doing great, or all down here the whole way, whatever it is, they're just not telling the truth. That's just all there is to it.
And yeah, that's also something I love about business people, right? When they start talking about their own business, they love sharing both the ups and the downs, right? And if somebody is just sharing the ups and the ups and the ups, they're not talking about their business. It's just trying to show off, right? That's
Yeah.
just what I feel. I don't know. You might want to defer to that, but yeah. Um, so how has it been? What are you up to these days?
Yeah, so right now we are knee deep in really scaling the business. I feel like that there's several things that I'm doing that are working out really well. If you go to my website, you'll see that there are educational pages. And so we first just started out doing those for our clients. Here's how you get ready for your headshot. Why do you need a food stylist? Why do you do all these things for photography? And it was great. They're wonderful resources. I can send them off to clients who have questions. And then all of a sudden, I really wanted to become more of a resource for my customers. And most of my customers are in marketing and advertising. And so we started having some of my clients, my friends, my network of people write educational articles about marketing. So, why is print marketing not dead in a digital era? How your website is losing you money. Why do you need a branding agency instead of an advertising agency? What is market research?
Yeah.
Things that really approach my customers and bring them to my website for other reasons besides when they're looking for photography. It's also helping me with my organic Google searches and all those things
Yeah.
that I become an expert in the field. So I'm spending a lot of time working on that. I'm also working on where does AI fit into the business and how does it make us better, and how are we using it as a tool to separate ourselves from the junk that is AI generated? So
Right.
there's a lot for me to ponder, and there's a lot for me to be ready for. I think because I had to make the change from film to digital, and my parents and my grandparents are such pioneers, I'm not really afraid
Mhm.
of AI. I think it's going to be a useful tool, but it doesn't have a soul. And
Yeah.
so, the things that we do for our customers are so much more than giving them a photograph. It's not just that, it is to promote their brand, to enhance their personal brand. There's
Yeah.
so much more than goes into it. And the people that are shopping for a good price by using AI, they
Mhm.
can go. That's
Uh-huh.
that fulfills their need. And they've always been shopping for prices. The people that want to be in front of their audience and be authentic and be genuine, those are people that we're really searching for and continuing to push and grow our business
Mhm.
towards other companies like that.
Now, since we're talking about AI, how are you feeling? What's the impact been on? Are you seeing a positive impact? Are you feeling uh, like, do you have a grant that AI is out there taking over a lot of creative work, and then yeah, someday they might not need photographers, something of that sort? What is your outlook?
I okay, I could be being cautiously optimistic, but I don't think it is going to take over for the heart and soul of what we do here.
Agreed,
I'm
agreed.
hopeful. I'm not going to sit here and say I've got all the answers because I don't have a crystal ball. But right now, I'm seeing the most impact with AI over our corporate headshots.
Mm-hmm.
People that just want it to be done easily. They
Yeah.
want to take a picture on my phone on their phone and they want to convert it to AI, strip it out, retouch it, and be done with it. Um, that's where it's impacting my business the most as far as taking work away from me.
Okay.
I've only seen it once this year that I'm aware of, and it's been relatively recent. And when I found out about it, I approached the client and I said, "Hey, you do see the difference between this, right?
Yes.
I would hate for you to lower your brand's credibility
Mm-hmm.
by taking this route."
Yeah.
And I said, "If there's anything I can do to help you,
Mm-hmm.
please reach out. I'm happy to come down and have a conversation," because the quality wasn't there. And this
Understood.
company does need to be trusted in the community,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a change from their normal marketing strategy.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to approach it very honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Now, on the other side of it, AI has been part of Photoshop for decades.
Yeah.
It is getting so much better, but it's still not ready for prime time. So if I need to remove a truck from a shot, no problem. If I need to remove a parking sign or, something that's pretty basic and random,
Mm-hmm.
no problem. But last week I had to shoot somebody. It was for a hospital ad campaign and it started raining. And we're outside, it starts raining. And the people have raindrops all over their shirts. And I'm like, perfect. AI should be able to handle this. So I select the shirt and I say, remove the raindrops.
Uh-huh.
They took that woman out of her shirt and put her into a bodysuit with a yoga mat. I don't know what part of remove raindrops said that she was going to yoga class. And kind of when you get to the more detail oriented work, it's
Yeah.
not there yet. The big stuff, no problem. But the little stuff, it's not quite there yet.
Yeah, that's a funny story that I'll probably be telling other people as well. So yeah, thank you so much for joining me in, Leslie. It's been a great conversation. We've talked about a lot about business. We talked about social media, and then yeah, this funny story about AI as well. So before we close, where can people get in touch with you if they want to know more about you?
Our website is studio13online.com. You can reach us at LinkedIn, both Studio 13 and Lesle Lane, Facebook, Instagram, both Studio 13 pages. We'd love to have all the follows you can give us.
Thank you so much, Leslie. Thank you so much once again for joining me in on this episode of Your Lab Central. To the audience who's been listening and watching, the comment section is always open for questions. And if you have something to add, you can surely drop in your comments. Don't forget to like and don't forget to subscribe before you close the window. Thank you so much for joining in. And Leslie, thank you once again. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. It was a great conversation.
Same here.